All right, we are live at lunch. Today is Tuesday, November 12th. And we are less than 70 days now before Trump takes office again. So I have promised to be on here daily, Tuesday to Saturday, at the noon hour, answering questions about immigration, because we are going to be seeing many changes during the Trump administration. Hola a todos los que están ahorita escuchando. Estamos aquí todos los días, martes a sábado, contestando preguntas porque sabemos que va a haber muchos cambios en los próximos meses y años bajo el presidente Trump. Vicky, claro que sí, hablo español. Si tiene pregunta, puede poner su pregunta aquí. Estoy aquí para contestar preguntas, para hablar de opciones, para explicar lo que creemos que va a cambiar en los meses y años que viene bajo el presidente Trump, porque ya sabemos cómo era y por eso tenemos una idea cómo va a ser. So we have already seen a Trump administration, and we know what his goals are. We know what his promises are. And so we don't have to imagine or try very hard to think about what's going to happen in the next 4 years. I think it's pretty clear. And I try not to be a negative Nancy. I try to be not someone who causes alarm, but I think that there is definitely cause for alarm for anyone who is in the U.S. without status. And the statistics show that there are 1 in 15 Americans live in a mixed status family. So that means one person has status, the other person either has maybe a temporary status or a permanent residency or no status. So this is going to impact a lot of people. 1 in 15 is a lot of people. Millions of people are going to be impacted. Gita, what about TPS? So I think the TPS is going to go away. Temporary protected status is our programs for certain countries, for places that either have suffered war or natural disasters. For example, Haiti. Haiti had a huge earthquake. I can't remember when, and there's also all kinds of political unrest there. And so a lot of people have been able to come from Haiti because it, frankly, is not a place that's habitable in many parts. And so those people have been able to come under temporary protected status, have been able to be here with a work permit, and that is validated for a certain period of time, usually about 2 years, 18 months. And then before it expires, the government looks at what's going on in that country and decides whether they will extend it or not. Estamos hablando de TPS. Si va a seguir vigente el programa de TPS, yo creo que no. El TPS es un programa temporal para ciertos países que han sufrido algo político, algún daño como un terremoto, algo así como, por ejemplo, de Haití. Había un terremoto muy grande y también dificultades políticas. Entonces, por eso la gente que viene de Haití puede quedarse aquí. Si llegaron antes de cierta fecha, pueden estar aquí con permiso de trabajo y pueden renovarlo. Yo creo que, normalmente es para 18 meses o 2 años. Entonces, yo creo que cuando sea necesario para renovar inmigración, ya no se va a renovar. So, Gita, sorry, I was just trying to translate what I had just said in English. So, as I was saying, I think the TPS program is going to go away. I don't think that they're going to renew for certain countries, maybe for Ukraine. I don't know. I just have this feeling that the whiter your skin is, the more likely your country's TPS will stay. I hate to say that, as racist as that sounds, but unfortunately it is racist, because if you look at the Trump administration, his wife is an immigrant. Elon Musk, his now, BFF, is an immigrant. So those people are white, they can stay. Other people who are not white cannot stay. So I think TPS is going to go away. Gita, thank you for that question. Somebody was asking about, so Venezuela. Yeah, I mean, this was like one of the things that they talk about that, what was it, in Colorado? What is the name of that city in Colorado? That they're saying that whole apartment complexes were taken over. I think Aurora, Colorado, right? This big thing that Trump is saying that Venezuelans have taken over these apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, which has been proven to not be true. But he has promised to go after immigrants in Aurora, Colorado first. And that's a majority of the immigrants there are Venezuelan. So I think that Venezuela TPS is definitely going to have issues. So anyone who has TPS, si tiene TPS de Venezuela, recomiendo buscar asilo, porque tiene que buscar algo que no sea temporal. Estoy animando a todos, si tiene algún estatus temporal, sea DACA, sea TPS, que busquen algo más permanente. So can we still get married to a foreigner if the new president in office? I hope so. There was actually a Supreme Court ruling that said, yes, you have a right to marry a foreigner, but you do not have a constitutional right to have that foreigner live with you in the U.S. That was actually decided, if not this year, the previous year. So I think that there's definitely going to be, movement towards this, that if you're married to someone who does not have status, or you're married to a foreigner, like, your rights are not the same as someone who is married to two U.S. citizens married to each other. In fact, they're circulating right now because what's his name? Tom Homan, something like that. He was the head of ICE before under the Trump administration, and now there's already rumors that he's going to be appointed as what's called the border czar. I don't think we've ever had this position. Czar reminds me of like a Russian thing, but so it's somebody that's going to be the lord over the border, and he helped create the Muslim ban. He helped create the program that separated children from their parents, which 1,400 kids are still separated from their parents. As a parent, I can't imagine that. So if you're going to get married, I would do it now, especially if you are in a same-sex relationship. We know that is also likely to come under attack. Please take action now. Vicky, ojalá nos pueda tejer con permiso de trabajo, no nos deportan. Maybe dejar con permiso de trabajo. Me encantaría dar buenas noticias que todos van a poder quedarse aquí, pero el señor Trump ha hecho muchas promesas de deportar millones de personas. Él quiere deportar más personas de cualquier otro presidente, cualquier otro año, y tiene planes ya para hacerlo. Está poniendo ya personas en los lugares directivos de agencias. O sea, todavía no es algo, ¿cómo se dice? No es algo hecho, pero hay rumores ahorita que el director que era sobre la policía de inmigración, ICE, él va a ser un czar, no sé cómo decirlo en español, pero es como un rey, un príncipe sobre la frontera, y tienen planes de hacer cosas tan feas. Él era la persona que hizo la policía de separar los niños de sus padres, y ahorita todavía queda 1,400 jóvenes niños que están separados de sus padres todavía. Okay. Carlos, you have one DUI in 2010. Should you worry about becoming a citizen? We usually recommend that you wait 5 years before you apply for citizenship after any kind of criminal case or probation has finished. So definitely you're outside that 5-year period. They do that because you have to show that you've been a person of good moral character in the last 5 years. So definitely to wait a minimum of 5 years. However, immigration can look back as far back as they want to go. They can even look at how you originally got your permanent residency to see if you should be deported based on one of those reasons. So I think you'll be safe, and we are recommending that people apply for citizenship as soon as possible. Yes, Jacqueline, renew your DACA now. Even if it's going to be more than 6 months, you say it expires in September, renew it now. We do not know what's going to happen with DACA. If the first administration was any indication, we definitely are worried about those who have DACA. They are the low-hanging fruit, right? You have to tell immigration every time you change your address. You inform them where you're working. So this is information that's already in the system. Anyone who has DACA, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, please reach out to us. We would love to help you get your residency. 541-653-8899. What should we tell friends who are dreamers who live in Aurora? I think it's time to look at relocating somewhere where they're not going to focus their attention. Los que viven en Aurora, no sé cómo decirlo en español, Aurora, Colorado, hay un grupo de inmigrantes muy grande, inmigrantes de Venezuela, y Trump está alegando que esos inmigrantes están formando pandillas allá en Aurora, Colorado, y él ha prometido ir primero a Aurora y resolver lo que dice que es el problema allá. No, yo no veo problema allá, y lo que he visto de reportes, no hay problema de pandillas en Aurora, pero esto es parte de las mentiras que dice Trump para dar miedo al país y para recibir apoyo para deportaciones de muchas personas. So dreamers in Aurora should relocate, and they should get their residency if they're eligible. Roxy, after fingerprinting, how long does it take to process the work permit for VAWA? We're seeing those in about 6 months. Tapa, you're a U.S. citizen, but you were born in a different country, came to this country legally. Do you think that we could get... I think you're trying to say, do you think we could get deported? So I think anyone who is a citizen should be safe. However, Stephen Miller announced that there is going to be even more effort to denaturalize immigrants, those people who were not born here but naturalized as citizens, that they will be looking into ways to disqualify people, take away their citizenship, and deport them. So if there's any concern at all in any of your immigration history, I would recommend you talk with an immigration attorney now. Yes, Sally, denaturalization is a real threat. It's very uncommon. Like 11 people per year have historically been denaturalized. It's usually due to issues of fraud, like they shouldn't have ever become a permanent resident to begin with. But it is a thing. It's on the books. It's legal. And it sounds like Trump wants to throw some money at that. Ok, Vicky, usted nos hace una carta de protección si nos llega a agarrar la policía. Estamos pensando cómo ayudar a la comunidad, cómo ayudar a nuestros clientes. Tal vez una carta de protección sería una idea. Estoy todavía pensando qué va a ser mis recomendaciones. Ahorita estoy recomendando los que tienen opciones, que toman acción en las opciones, pero puede ser que podamos hacer una carta de protección. Gracias por este comentario. So, Babida, I wish that I was just saying this to people to as a story to stress people out. And it's interesting to me that you comment that. I have been an immigration attorney since 2010, and I served immigration clients under the first Trump administration. I saw what they did on a daily basis to create fear and chaos and frustration for even people who were serving these clients. I would not be coming on here trying to make trying to fear monger. That is the last thing that I want to do. And, some people might say, well, this is what I do for a living. Yes, it is. But I have enough cases on my own to not need to come on here and scare people into doing something. I really need people to take this seriously, that this is a serious, serious threat. 1 in 15 families in America have a mixed status family. That means that one of the people in the relationship does not have legal status in the US. That is a huge number of people that will be impacted by Trump's promises of mass deportation. He is promising to deport millions of people. So, Babita, I wish I was exaggerating. I wish I was just being too cautious, but that we've already seen it happen. And he has the full support now. He has the Supreme Court is even on his side. So there is literally going to be very little that we can do to push back and stop what he is planning to do. Jess, does it matter if married couples are already in the process of obtaining a green card? Work with your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, I'd encourage you to talk with an attorney, make sure that you completed everything correctly. I would expect that there's going to be interviews and more scrutiny on all these cases once Trump takes office. Okay, Pip, if you haven't heard about the Family Parole in Place program, a federal judge ended that program last week. So if you have that filed, we're going to start seeing denials. We're going to start seeing rejections. So that program, unfortunately, is no more. I'm really sorry to report that. Megan, ¿hablas español también, Megan? Estamos buscando personas bilingües porque vamos a necesitar seguir creciendo y tenemos ahorita un equipo de 15 personas, 15 mujeres poderosas sirviendo a los inmigrantes y estamos buscando más personas bilingües. Entonces, si está buscando trabajo, estamos buscando abogados, asistentes legales, asistentes normales, todo tipo, y trabajan de todos países, trabajan de todos estados. Entonces, llámanos si está buscando trabajo. Okay, Anna, your advance parole was approved for next year, but you're scared to go. I completely understand that fear. If you can go before January 20th, I recommend it. If it's going to be after January 20th, talk with your attorney to understand the pros and the cons. Definitely, if you have DACA and you're married to a U.S. citizen, I think that the pros would outweigh any concerns. Mauricio, do you recommend submitting advance parole through DACA in Texas? Yes, please keep filing those until that program is ended. I do expect advance parole to go away, to be one of the first things that they take away. Is military PIP still safe? So parole in place, the Family Unity Program, my hope was that if they, disqualified that program, that it would impact all of the other parole in place programs like the military parole in place. That's for parents and spouses and even children of military personnel. That's my concern, is that this case can now be used to attack military parole in place. Trump tried to end that program in his first administration, and fortunately, there was a lot of pushback because, family of military should get special protection. They are literally like giving their lives for us. So I hope that program will not be impacted, but I would not be surprised to see it be impacted. Yes, you have a green card that you have to renew in February. You're so worried. Please make sure you're talking with an attorney if you're worried for any reason. Maybe it's just because of the change in administration that you're worried, but particularly if you had some kind of criminal history, even if it's something minor, like a misdemeanor, please talk with an attorney before you file. Sonia, you have a waiver pending. You're worried about getting deported. Yes, I am very concerned about the waiver cases because the whole family unity parole in place was intended to help these people that were in that process because there is like such a long there's a backlog of these cases. It's taking like 4 or 5 years to get the I-601A waivers approved. So we were hopeful that people who could jump out of that into the Family Unity Parole in Place program would be able to do that, avoid the waiver, and get their green card that much faster. But now that program has been finished, has been terminated by a federal judge, I think that these cases are going to take even longer. We're going to have to keep putting pressure on USCIS to approve these cases faster. There's been federal lawsuits against the excessive delays, but we're going to have to keep filing these lawsuits and putting pressure so that those cases can go forward. Meanwhile, talk with your immigration attorney. If you don't have one, we'd be happy to talk with you about some other options or ways that you can stay safe. How is Arizona for undocumented individuals? I don't know. I live in Oregon. Abogada, ¿eso afecta a los que están arreglando papeles o nada más los ilegales, lo de Trump? Entonces, hay que entender que ningún inmigrante sea documentado en el proceso de arreglar o ya aprobado. Ninguno de ellos tiene seguridad. ¿Por qué digo esto? Porque Trump, cuando empezó su campaña, empezó diciendo que va a deportar a todos los indocumentados. Pero al final de la campaña está incluyendo personas que tienen estatus legal, tal como TPS y DACA. Y también está hablando de quitar la ciudadanía de inmigrantes que ya son ciudadanos. Entonces, en mi opinión, nadie está seguro. Y también hay que entender que esa persona que Trump quiere poner como el czar de la frontera, Tom, ¿cómo se llama? Tom Homan, algo así. Él antes era directivo de ICE, de la Policía de Inmigración, y ahora va a ser encargado de toda la frontera. Hay un video de él explicando qué se va a hacer con la familia, los esposos y hijos de personas cuando están deportados. Y él está diciendo que pueden deportar toda la familia. No estoy diciendo que tiene algún base legal para deportar a ciudadanos, pero está diciendo que vaya toda la familia con ellos si no quiere estar separados. Entonces, esa persona no tiene amor, no tiene apoyo para inmigrantes y por eso no tiene sentido, o no tiene capacidad de sentir algo por los inmigrantes. Lali, your mom should try to become a citizen if she's been in the U.S. that long and she's a resident now. Depending on how long she's had her residency, she could qualify to do her citizenship in Spanish. Or depending on what country she's from, in her native language. The bona fide through the U visa. So Jocelyn, you're saying someone had a deportation order, but they got a bona fide or determination through the U visa. I think that gives you deferred action. I think that could halt a deportation order, but anything could be changed. Haley, what about a conditional permanent resident with a green card, a conditional green card? Make sure that you're working with an attorney, especially if you're no longer with that spouse that you received your green card through. Make sure you're talking with an attorney. Do we know who they are targeting first? So I think DACA and TPS are going to be the easiest programs for them to wind down. And because they already have those people's information, they know where they live, where they work, those will likely be the easiest people to begin the process of deportation. Now, currently, as it stands, all of those people should receive due process, should be allowed to go to court and have a judge decide whether they should be deported. But if Trump can and does invoke the Alien Enemies Act, I think that's what it's called, which is usually for time of war, has never been used in this kind of setting. But he's saying that our country is under invasion by immigrants. And so he could use that to get rid of due process and just deport people without a hearing, detain people for unlimited times. So these are things that are possible, and I think very likely. Tessering, Tashi, you have a removal order in TPS. Are you at risk? Definitely be talking with an immigration attorney. We'd be happy to help you. 541-653-8899. Brenda, can you fix your husband's papers now? I don't know. Give us a call. We offer a free discovery call process. We'd be happy to take a look and see what options he has now. If an attorney has told you in the past that there's options and for whatever reason you just haven't gotten around to doing it yet, maybe you're putting money together, please start something now. Please don't wait. Francis, yeah. So we're talking about denaturalization. It is a thing. It's a legal thing that USCIS the government can reopen these cases if they believe that or have reason to believe that there was some sort of fraud or some basis that this person shouldn't have become a citizen, shouldn't have become a permanent resident before they became a citizen. Usually it's like 11 on average, 11 of those cases a year. But Stephen Miller has said that they will be ramping that up under the next Trump administration. Thanks for the follows, guys. This is going to be super important that you stay up to date. There's going to be a lot of information, most of it confusing, much of it misinformation. And I think the way I heard this, actually another content creator in immigration, I wish I could remember so I could give credit, but the way that this could also happen is just by mass fear, mass confusion, mass frustration, and people just choosing to self-deport. Imagine if you're here undocumented or your loved one is here undocumented and you get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we know you're here. You need to leave immediately. That would be, something that would cause people to legitimately be afraid and to possibly make decisions to leave. Now, that's not what I'm telling people to do. Each person needs to make a decision that makes sense to them and their family. And I think it needs to be made together with an immigration attorney who has reviewed all of the possibilities and has gone through all of the pros and cons of each option before a decision is made. But definitely this is, it's coming, guys, and we need to be ready for it. I appreciate that my husband comes on here and makes comments. The man I mentioned just said on TV, he's talking about Tom Homan, that they're going to deport children who are legal citizens with their undocumented parents. That way they will not be concerned about separating families or needing for the government to have to take care of them. Yep, that's Tom Homan, slated to be a border czar, which is a position that we've never had before, I don't think. He was previously, under the first Trump administration, he was the director of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So sounds like a great guy to be the czar over the whole border. Yahaha, should your asylum seeker boyfriend and you get married? If you're ready to get married, I think there's going to be a lot of marriages before Trump takes office. I've been saying this too, especially if you're in a same-sex relationship, I would sincerely consider, even if one of you, even if both of you are U.S. citizens, I think that it's important to consider that could potentially be taken away as well. Barbara, your daughter is a citizen. Her fiance is a green card. Is he at risk? And should he put the house in her name? So as long as everything looked good for his green card, that, all the information was correct, as long as they stay together, I think he should be safe. Definitely, staying away from any kind of law enforcement contact, but talking together with an immigration attorney if there's any concerns about how the case was processed or any updates after that. But putting a house in somebody else's name is a good practice just in general. I don't do, I don't do wills and estates, and it's been a long time since I took that class, but having your spouse or your significant other on your bank accounts and on your loans and on your including your mortgage, those can all be good things for any situation, any contingency, if somebody's sick or if somebody dies suddenly or if somebody's deported in this case. So I don't think it would be a bad idea, if possible, to put the house in both their names, Barbara. Jas, we are still waiting for your I-130. We were praying for PIP, but that was denied. Yes, I'm so sorry. This is going to be a really sucky next few years, because even if you apply for, even once your I-130 gets approved, the next step is probably for you, the I-601A. Those are taking like 4 or 5 years. So it's not likely that you'll see an approval during the Trump administration. Give us a call. I'd love to talk with you guys. If you don't already have an attorney, if you do, make sure you talk with your attorney about some what next steps you should be doing. WP expert, remote work. Yes, we have a physical office in Springfield, Oregon, but 2/3 of our team right now is in other states, other countries. So definitely this is work that can be done remotely. I was asking earlier, anyone who's bilingual, please know that we are hiring for all positions. We anticipate that we will continue to be busy, and many, many immigrants will need our help. Megan, sí, un poquito, pero necesito hablar más. You sound great, though. Megan, sigue practicando. Necesitamos más personas que hablen español. Keep practicing, Megan. We need more people who are bilingual, who are able to serve immigrants. Jas, is it possible for any of these things to happen before January 20th? No. We saw this last week. I think this last week, the decision to end the Family Unity Parole in Place program, I think it was definitely politically motivated, definitely impacted by the elections. So anything's possible. I think that there's, there's some pending litigation on certain cases that could go in a direction that we don't want them to. That's what Trump does, right? He emboldens people to be anti-immigrant and to make decisions that are anti-immigrant. So I think anything's possible now. As far as like concrete changes, I don't think those will happen until he's actually in office, but I think they'll happen quickly because they already have the blueprint, right? Project 2025, the exact thing that he said he knew nothing about. Saw a video of him explaining the changes to the education system straight out of Project 2025. So, it's clear that this is the blueprint. I expect that a lot of this will be done by executive action. So, people saying, well, it'll take time to make these changes. No, it won't. He could do it the first weekend, first day in, just needs to sign those orders. Refiling VAWA 2 times. Not sure what happened there. Why you needed to do that. Maybe there was something was filed incorrectly. We'd be happy to take a look at that for you as well. 541-653-8899. Mi esposo tiene aprobado una petición de mi hijo y su advance parole en 2019, pero tiene deportación. Tiene un caso complicado. Espero que está trabajando con un abogado de inmigración. Si no tiene, nos encantaría hablar con usted. 541-653-8899. Estuve leyendo a la vez en ausencia, una deportación en ausencia. Sí, nos encantaría hablar con usted. A veces hay manera de reabrir casos de deportación. Lo que creo que va a pasar cuando entra Trump es que todo va a afectar todo, o sea, va a afectar las prioridades de deportación, va a afectar el tiempo que se tarda para procesar y también los abogados del gobierno que tienen autoridad normalmente de estar de acuerdo, reabrir un caso, ya no van a tener esta autoridad, ya no van a poder trabajar junto con nosotros. Sonia, I apologize, I left you hanging down here. Can you apply for status from a spouse if you self-remove? So that's, definitely one option. If people decide that they would rather return home and process their case from their home country, that is definitely an option. Understand that will probably require filing a waiver in your home country, which could be, multiple years of waiting. So it's not something that would happen quickly, but I could definitely understand why somebody would want to do that, to not have to live in fear for the next 4 years. Sandra, if your I-45 got denied based on marriage, can you reapply? That depends. Are you still married to that person? And what was the basis for the denial? If it was something silly, like the affidavit of support wasn't completed correctly, then definitely refile. But have an attorney take a look at it to make sure that it wasn't something, more complicated than that. Your attorney asked you not to do advance parole since you're waiting on your 601A. That's interesting to me, Alex. I wouldn't have recommended that. I would have, if you have DACA, I would have recommended that you do the advance parole and adjust your status. Definitely. Asylum seekers are undocumented, Samira. No, they're not. Anyone who seeks asylum here, and that's a question, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say no, they're not. Just to answer your question, they are documented. So anyone who is here with status, who has legal status to be here, asylum seekers come here looking for safety and looking for protection, and so those people are eligible to receive a work permit and to have their case go through the court system. And so I don't consider them undocumented. I do think that, even under the Biden administration, there's been a lot of changes to the asylum process. It's become more and more difficult to win asylum. And so I'm sure that we're just going to see even more obstacles placed to coming here as asylum seekers and to receiving an approval for asylum. Chris, you have a green card and you're about to start your naturalization process. Should I be worried? I think you should be talking with an immigration attorney to have that attorney review your case and make sure that there's nothing to be worried about. I would definitely encourage action instead of living in fear, but do it with, what's the word I'm looking for? Do it informed. So make sure that you know, do I have a clean case? Are there any kind of potential complications? What are the risks involved if I file? We offer a free discovery call process. You can call us and we'd be happy to take a look at your situation and let you know what we recommend. 541-653-8899. Yeah, haha, if you're in Oregon or Lane County and your boyfriend's in the process for asylum, give us a call. We do free marriages for our clients here in the office. It's a cute little ceremony that we love to do, and we'd be happy to help you with that. Yes is saying, so if you apply for citizenship and you get denied, can you still renew your residency? Usually. It just depends on what the basis of the denial is. If it's because your English isn't good enough, then yeah, definitely you can continue renewing your green card. If it's because of a criminal conviction that could make you deportable, then you're probably not going to want to apply for citizenship because that's only going to draw attention to your criminal conviction. Make sure that you're talking with immigration attorneys. Guys, now is not the time to be doing this on your own. Do not DIY. Do it yourself. DIY. To think of what the letters are. Do not DIY immigration right now. Now is not the time to do that, to save some money, to not hire an attorney, because you will quickly find yourself in deep trouble, deep doo-doo, costing way more than if you had started with an attorney to begin with. Estoy animando a todos, por favor, si están pensando hacer algo, que toman acción ahorita, por favor, no deje que el costo sea el razón por qué no use un abogado, porque ahorita va a ser más importante que antes usar representación para saber, para estar seguros que lo que está buscando de veras califica para ese remedio, de veras no va a tener problemas en recibirlo, porque si trata de ahorrar un poquito de dinero ahorita, tarde o temprano se va a ver que va a gastar mucho más tratando de arreglar, y a veces hay errores tan graves que no se puede arreglar, no se puede mejorar. So ten cuidado, por favor. No estoy diciendo eso porque soy abogada de inmigración. Es porque he visto personas que han tratado de hacerlo sin ayuda y han tenido muchos problemas. Sonia, thanks for answering my question. Follow-up, how long does it usually take to get a green card when you self-remove? So that's going to be usually a 3-step process. You're going to file the I-130. That's going to take about a year. Then you're going to have some more forms you have to file at the National Visa Center. That's going to also take another year. Eventually, you're going to have an interview at the consulate. And at that interview, they're going to tell you what kind of waivers you need in order to be approved. You'll file those waivers. Those are taking a couple of years. So like probably 4 to 5 years that you're going to be living abroad, if that's the decision that you make. Thanks for the question, Sonia. Eso es lo malo de ver solo TikTok. Él dijo deportar a todo inmigrante ilegal que haya cometido un delito. No, no es cierto, Juli. No es cierto. Hay que ver todo, hay que mirar todos los videos. y escuchar todo lo que él ha prometido y leer el proyecto 2025. Él tiene ganas y tiene apoyo por lo menos la mitad de los Estados Unidos, se parece. Tiene autoridad y tiene poder de deportar a millones. No solo los que son indocumentados o que tienen delitos, sino los que están aquí documentados como TPS y DACA. Entonces, ten cuidado lo que está escuchando Juli. And I wanted to say today, too, that I'm hearing some English speakers, citizens, even some Hispanics that are saying he isn't going to deport millions. He didn't say that. He's not going to do that. People are lying about that. That's not true. And that's not why I voted for him. I didn't vote for him, but this is what people are saying. And I need to make it really clear that if that's the case, if you are going to be truly shocked by the numbers that we are going to start to see being deported, and if you truly are concerned and you truly want to help the families that are going to be impacted by this, I hope that you are going to be looking for ways to be allies, to be protectors, because what if they start coming for us, for the people that are supporting immigrants, for the people that are helping immigrants? What then? Are we going to continue to fight and support, or are we going to be like, well, not my problem? Because people who voted for Trump for the economy or for abortion, or whatever your issue was when you voted for Trump, if you are truly shocked to see the numbers of people being deported, I'm going to speak to Christians. If there are undocumented individuals in your churches, what are you prepared to do? Because Trump is now saying that no place will be safe. There will be no such thing as a sanctuary city. There will be no such thing as hiding out in schools. That immigration officials will have authority to go into schools, into churches, into social, places that have been sacred. And if they have reason to deport those people, they will. So my question to you, dear fellow white people, especially Christians, what are we going to do about this? And how are we going to support? And what are we going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen? Chris, you have a 6 green card and you're about to apply for citizenship. Should you be worried? Talk with an immigration attorney before you apply. I just realized my internet's not great. Sorry about that, guys. I actually bought one of those things so I can plug into my landline. I'm going to need to do that. So, ves aquí, esto es algo que no entiendo. ¿Por qué los latinos están tan en apoyo de deportación? Es como si fuera, pues yo estoy aquí, yo soy legal, yo no tengo peligro, y los que tienen peligro, pues tienen peligro. Eso no entiendo. Is parole in place really a good idea for DACA recipients, Maritza? I think parole in place is probably going to be taken away, but meanwhile, I think that people should be using it. Sonia, thanks so much. Does your spouse have to reside in the U.S. if they petition for their spouse's status? Yeah, that could be actually a complication because part of the affidavit of support, you do have to show that the sponsor, so the petitioner, either resides in the U.S. or is intending to return. So you'll want to make sure that you're working with an attorney to make sure that that's clear so it's not denied on that basis. Your wife got married with you. Congratulations. And you're a U.S. citizen. She came in with a tourist visa. Should it cut off there? You should contact an immigration attorney immediately and file for an adjustment of status for a green card. your case is going to be a little bit easier than everybody else. But if, depending on when she entered, she could be undocumented right now. So you'll want to, Maricela, believe what you want, keep drinking the Kool-Aid, at the guy who was saying that we're making all this up and exaggerating. The Kool-Aid's good for the brain. I agree, Maricela. Adrienne, can you tell us more about the SIJ process? I love these cases, you guys. Special Immigrant Juvenile Visa Juvenil. It's for youth under the age of 18, or in some states up to the age of 21, who have been abused, abandoned, or neglected by either their mother or their father, who need to have a guardian appointed to support them up until the age of 21 here in Oregon. I love that Oregon extended this a couple years ago. So we do these cases a lot. If you're in Oregon, feel free to reach out to us. If you're in a different state, make sure you talk with an immigration attorney in that state to know whether or not you'll be eligible. But it ends in a green card. Usually takes about 5 years, but in about 2 years, you can get a work permit. It's a beautiful program that I hope Trump does not try to attack. Nancy, if your brother doesn't do advanced parole, would 245I help? Depends on, so 245I was something filed before April 30th, 2001. If he has one of those, he doesn't need an advanced parole. Well, depending, we could look at that for you. Ashley, all these people that have boyfriends in asylum, I love it. You're American. Should you get married now or later? If you're ready to get married, do it now. Oh, congratulations, Chloe. Your boyfriend's on DACA and applied for advanced parole. Hopefully that can get approved quickly, and you can, and you guys can be safe. Yeah, WP Expert is concerned about people who filed for PIP and have deportation orders. We were trying to figure out if we recommended that or not. I think in our office we ended up not filing any of those, but yeah, basically anybody who's filed anything ever, immigration has your deets and could start, I think they're likely to start with the low-hanging fruit, the people that they have their information already. Your fiance came into the US with a tourist visa. You still want to talk to an attorney about that, even though you'll probably be okay, but you want to make sure that there's not going to be any complications with how they entered, and maybe they should have done a fiance visa, but definitely talk with an immigration attorney. The number, Ashley, is 541-653-8899. We do a free discovery call process to find out what your options are. Green card through church, love that one too. Okay, so there are religious worker visas. If you have been in a certain denomination, doesn't have to be Christian. If you've been in an organization and that same organization or one closely enough related wants to petition to bring you to the US, you can get a religious worker visa for 2.5 years that's renewable for another 2.5 years. And during that time, you can also be eligible for a green card through that same position. We love doing those cases. Can they really end birthright citizenship? I mean, it really feels like that's what they want to do, right? Yeah. I don't know who WP Expert is. Maybe you're an immigration attorney too. Out yourself. You're giving legal advice on here. And Alex, if you do the advanced parole, you don't need the 601A anymore. Yeah, which is exactly why, Alex, I was confused why your attorney was telling you to not file the advanced parole during the 601A. Maybe because we charge more legal fees to do the whole 601A consular processing because it's more complicated, but I don't know. Maybe they just don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Who was that? WP expert. If you're on, I'll bring you on and we can talk. If you're an immigration attorney, I don't know how to invite you. What about people who are students, have degrees, and are married to U.S. citizen? Hopefully you're working on getting your green card. "20 years and no papers." You guys, this is exactly what I don't think people understand, is that it is possible to live here for decades and still not have status. And not because you haven't tried, not because you don't want it, but because that's how strict the laws are. Thanks, guys, for all the invites, the follows. Your attorney is terrible. I'm sorry, Jess. Our phone number, 541-653-8899. Just a reminder that you have a right to use whatever attorney you want to use. If you're not happy with your attorney, this is a capitalist society, and the way that services get better is competition. And so we are striving to give the best service that we can to our clients. And we believe that that's how we will grow and be able to help more people. Predictions for the next 4 years: chaos, confusion, fear. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I think there's going to be a lot of people shocked at what our country looks like in 4 years, shocked at realizing the impact that immigrants play in the U.S. I need to pull up some numbers just even on how the amount of taxes that immigrants pay each year, and to be able to show, just the financial impact alone, let alone like people not being here to do jobs, families being separated, just all of these. ¿Qué están haciendo y para qué entonces? Is VAWA faster than 601A? You're separated. Definitely talk with an attorney. If you've been working with an attorney, QX Muse, for your 601A, you're going to need a new attorney because that attorney is now going to be conflicted if he's representing the husband and the wife or both spouses, and one of them has a potential VAWA claim. That attorney needs to refer that person out. So feel free to give us a call. We'd love to take a look at it. Definitely VAWA is faster if you have a valid VAWA claim, and VAWA is for victims of abuse, and there are many forms of abuse, not just physical. It does not require physical abuse. There are many different ways that you can qualify for VAWA. All right, guys, this is a really good live, but I got to jump off. I will be back tomorrow lunchtime live at lunch. I'm promising to be here Tuesdays through Saturdays at the noon hour to answer questions and to give information about changes. We've already seen a change to the Family Unity Parole in Place program that was ended last week right after the elections. No doubt related politically, no doubt related to the election results. And I think we're going to see changes leading up to Trump's taking office. And then definitely that first week, we are starting that first week, we're going to see rapid changes. I lived through and survived the first Trump administration. We will survive. I am concerned about who will be impacted during the next 4 years. But we are going to do our part to fight for our clients, to fight for our community, to protect the vulnerable, to protect those who should not be deported from our country. And that's our commitment. So I appreciate everyone who is pro-immigrant. Here at Molina Immigration, we say that immigrants make America great. So thank you all for joining, and I will see you tomorrow at noon. Take care and be safe.